Welcome to Pyramid Scheme, a new Destiny podcast focused on making the Destiny community a more welcome place. I am your Master of Ceremonies, Austin, also known as Pfhorbear online, and joining me is the incredible, the unbreakable, the world champion Titan skating juggernaut, Luminous Havoc, aka Justin. That's right, Austin and Justin, we're two buds here to sit down and gab on about our favorite hobby, Destiny 2 the video game by Bungie Studios, LLC. We've been playing Destiny since the beginning, and for the last 5 years, we've mostly done so together. We did drift apart there shortly as I moved over to PC and Justin stayed on Xbox, but thanks to the power of crossplay, we've been reunited and are going to be sitting down weekly to bring you all of the latest news and hottest topics in the world of Destiny. This is Pyramid Scheme. Okay, Justin, welcome, buddy. This is the first episode. I guess episode zero of
the pilot.
The pilot. Eyes Up Guardian, I think is what I'm going to call this one.
Okay.
It's very fitting. So, Justin, welcome. Hello, how are you, my friend?
I'm okay. I'm here. You know.
Very cool.
How about you?
So, I'm great. For those listening, Justin and I have been sitting in this room for almost an hour, just talking about how this is going to go, and it's all going to be great. The idea is to obviously make this feel comfortable, like, you know, you and I are just having a conversation, and all of our new friends are sitting around and enjoying the conversation. Yeah. And joining in also on social media, we do have a Twitter account. It is Pyramid Scheme D2 at Pyramid Scheme D2.
Creative.
Very unique. The Twitter has a 15 character limit, and I didn't realize when I named the podcast that Pyramid Scheme is 13 characters. At Pyramid Scheme is already taken, so I was like, how are we going to do this?
Just double down.
D2 on it. Destiny 2. So now it looks like it says Pyramid Schemed 2. But anyway, Justin, we have been friends for a while. Mm-hmm. We started playing together, and I do want to ask you about the first time you and I played together, but we started playing together just over 5 years ago. It was August of 2016 that you and I started playing together regularly.
Okay, yeah.
I want to ask you if you remember what that first time was that you and I played together.
Was it a Kingsfall raid?
It was a Kingsfall raid.
Yeah, I thought so.
So, our mutual friend, Nick, was on some forums that I was on NeoGAF.
NeoGAF, I was going to say, it was NeoGAF.
Yeah, 100%. And you know, I'm a big Halo guy. Anyone watching this who knows who I am knows that.
What's
if
that?
you're watching, right. That's the one with Big Green, right?
Is that the Doomslayer?
No, that's the other Big Green. So I was, you know, I've always been a big Halo fan, and Destiny was this game that I had played off and on since the alpha. And we'll get into
player.
Yeah, so Justin, we might as well touch on it. When did you start playing Destiny?
I started playing in the beta, yeah.
Right.
Because I was a Halo player before Destiny came out.
100%. So you had an Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
So the alpha was only on PlayStation, and I literally bought a PS4 to play the Destiny alpha, which is like fine.
Such a sweat.
I know, dude. So I mean, I've been a Bungie fan my entire life. Like, I played Marathon 2 Durandal back in like 1998, 1999 when I was like a wee boy.
Just a wee
and
lad.
You know, had no idea what was going on. Like, played that and I want to say the first Half-Life, but I may have that timeline kind of wrong. But anyway,
I'm terrible with passage of time, so I'm not going to be able to help you at all.
Yeah, just it was far enough back that I remember being a very young boy playing Marathon on my cousin's computer, on his Mac.
Oh no.
Yeah. But anyway, so I had started playing in the alpha, and I really enjoyed what I played in the alpha, and then played the beta, and bought 2 copies of the game at release. I bought one for my PS4 and for my Xbox.
Okay. Yeah, I remember you saying that.
I played it. Anytime new content released, I jumped in and played it. Like, I played through the vanilla campaign, and I thought it was solid. It wasn't, but I thought it was. I played through, like, all of the content for The Dark Below the day it released.
Okay,
and
yeah.
Because there were, like, 3 story missions. And,
Yep.
and the new raid a couple, I want to say either a few hours later or a few days later.
I think it was a couple days.
I really enjoyed House of Wolves, and then I really enjoyed Kingsfall. And we'll talk more about that as we kind of break down into stuff. But just to give a quick synopsis, I only ever played it for a little while because I didn't have a group of friends that played it. So bringing it back around rather, my buddy Nick was a Halo guy who hung out on NeoGAF with me and was like, hey, I know I saw you playing Destiny the other night. Have you ever done any of the raids? I was like, well, I did a Vault of Glass like 2 months ago and just kind of got dragged through it and didn't really enjoy the experience. He's like, I have a group of friends that plays every fucking night. We raid constantly, and like they would love to take you and Zuju, my buddy Ian Zuju,
I remember.
through Kingsfall. So I was like, okay, and I was like super nervous. I wasn't great at the game. I was decent at the game, right? But I'd never gotten into the in-game content, and like we did that first Kingsfall together. It was Nick didn't even end up being there because he had something else going on.
Oh wow, that sounds super par for the course.
Yeah.
When I tell people about Nick, I'm like, he's actually just a figment of my imagination. He doesn't really exist.
It feels that way sometimes, man. So yeah, it was me and Zuge, and then you and Thumbless and Shane and I believe Steve.
Steve. Oh, that must have been quite the raid.
It was a cool experience. We all got to go through Kingsfall. We spent hours in there that night. We did finish it, and I was like, oh, this is what Destiny's all about.
Yeah, it's actually about like playing with your friends and having a good time.
Yeah, 100%. And we all clicked immediately, which was awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was how I met you. That was in August of 2016. And we've, for the most part, been playing together ever since. That's over 5 years now, which is crazy to think about.
We played together all the way through the end of D1, and then we played together for like most of year 1 D2. I'm pretty sure.
I think we stopped playing together right before Eater of Worlds came out.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So it wasn't even most because D2 came out and was so content light that like we all jammed it out for like 6 weeks and we're just like done with it.
Yeah.
Like the Leviathan raid, none of us really thought the Leviathan raid was that great.
It's not.
So, well, it's not. It's fine.
It's okay.
It wasn't like the next gen raid experience that we all wanted it to be, right? So
no, yeah.
We all kind of fell off. Like we all started like playing Fortnite and stuff. And
we did. I remember that.
There's a video of us winning a Fortnite game, and it's you, me, Ian, and Shane all on my YouTube channel.
Is that the video where Shane kills everyone?
I don't think so. No.
Because there's one of our first wins. He not only kills the enemy team, but there's 8 people left, and he downs 7 other people.
No, I don't think so, man. That's crazy. No, it's the one where he, like, before the game started, it was back when he was yelling yellow button at the beginning of our rounds. Like screaming it into his headset.
Yellow button.
Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah. So that's how you and I met, for those guys listening.
And then the rest is history.
For sure. Like, we unfortunately, there was that, like, span of time between, year 1 of D2 and fucking a couple, what feels like just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. We've been in touch on and off for a little while now, though.
100%. And we would still, like, for as long as I was on Xbox, like, I want to say, like, well through the second or third week of Forsaken, while I was still on Xbox, we would play together every once in a while. It wasn't super often, but we would.
Yeah, but it was normal at that point. It was normally I would join you on Halo.
Yeah, like we weren't even really playing Destiny together anymore.
I had taken a break when Forsaken launched. I had gotten another job and my life had done things, and so I kind of stopped playing for a little while.
Totally.
I really only came back in the most recent Warmind season with the bunkers. Do you remember that season?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the first season I started playing, and it was really funny because everyone was like, "There's nothing to do in the game," and like I hadn't played since Forsaken launched, so I was just like, "I have so much to do."
Inundated with content, man. Yeah, like, man, and see, that's the cool thing is I have so many friends that are starting the game right now, and it is a bummer that like most of the year one stuff is gone now, but there is so much content for a player that's like in it, like. Yeah. Who plays it for a few hours and like super digs it and then buys all the available content right now. Mm-hmm. Like I have two friends that have done that recently, and there's like a solid 150 hours worth of like just playing the game before you even touch anything in game.
It can be a little bit overwhelming. Like I actually tried to
I
tried to get a new player into the game relatively recently, and they were just like, "What do I do?" And I'm just like, well, I know the things that I do. I don't really know what you need to be doing right now, though."
So like the biggest problem with it is like because of the seasonal model that exists now, like it's kind of difficult, especially right now, right, with a good chunk of Forsaken about to be vaulted outside of the Dreaming City and Last Wish. I know, sad days. It's weird how much those content releases depended on you being there when it was happening, which like Destiny's kind of always perpetrated this idea that like you want to be there when things are happening so that you can experience it as much as possible. But like there's like solid chunks of stuff that I'm having to send my friends videos of just because like Crow being awoken on the Dreaming City, what was it, like 9 weeks after Forsaken or something like that. Yeah. Weeks after Forsaken, when you're well into the curse cycles, like that just doesn't happen in the game anymore. Like you can't get that cutscene to trigger anymore.
Yeah, no. I missed a lot of the Saint 14 cutscenes. I mean, I've seen them on YouTube, but like,
of course,
all the stuff with the sundial, like I didn't get to experience that, and that
I'm glad that they've gone to making the seasonal content stick around for the year. Rather than like once the season ends, it's gone. Yeah. Because like the same friend that just like flew through Forsaken and Shadowkeep and was like, "What's going on?" I was like, "I know, I'm sorry. Here's some videos to watch." She started recently going through this year's seasonal content, and she's in love with the Crow, man. She thinks he's a great character, like he's developing really well. I was like, I totally agree. But it's difficult to, and like I guess it's a good lesson to learn, right? Like from now on, I would not recommend someone go back and play through all of that content. Like as fantastic as it is to experience it firsthand, so much of it is, I don't want to say missing, but so much of it was only there for a short amount of time. So I guess
you're getting like the content light version,
right?
And a lot 100%. Of story development and like cutscenes that happen and just like little dialogue lines. Like you're never going to get those. And they give you a lot of perspective on things, I feel like.
Absolutely. So infrequently, I feel like we as like Destiny players, as Guardians, like get to experience what's going on outside of like our Guardians bubble. Yeah. And it only happens so often. So when you're missing that stuff, it really feels like you're missing it. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I suppose you could, but then you would have to know what goes where. You could do the content and then pull up this cutscene at the right time and then go on the Reddit and, like, find the dialogue lines and then...
Absolutely.
But the amount of effort that requires and the
amount of research you would have to do. Like you said, to know when that stuff happens ahead of time, like, you're better off just watching it anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense, unfortunately.
But... Destiny, I feel like Bungie really is doing a better job of taking Destiny in a direction where, hey, we want to give you this content. We obviously want you to spend the money on it. So we're going to try to make it last for as long as makes sense for not only for us, but for you as players and for the game's health. Yeah. So like, I'm super bummed out that Forsaken's campaign is going away.
It'll be okay. People are a little too upset about it, I feel like.
No, totally. I'm not like, tilted about it or anything. I appreciate and understand why it's happening. especially if it means that we get cool new places to go and stories to be told and all of that.
And I mean, and they've done so, I feel like in the last couple of seasons in terms of like story development and like just the seasonal story that they're bringing to the table, not just the DLC story, is like, there's a lot more in game than there's ever been before, I feel like, which like I have never minded just like reading the Grimoire or like, you know, looking at the Reddit. Like that's something that I thoroughly enjoy. But
totally,
for newer players or people that like aren't as active on the Reddit, like that's really, really good in terms of like drawing people in and getting them invested in the stories that are being told.
I think like the timeline on the director is a great addition.
Yeah.
I think what they need more than anything, like each season, like you're well aware of this, but for those who don't know or who are relatively new to the game, each season there's a short little cutscene that very briefly kind of touches on some previous events that leads into what's happening that season, and they're typically narrated by whatever character is going to be at the forefront of that season.
Previously on Dragon Ball Z.
Well, and that's the thing, is we really do need like a previously on Destiny. Like we really need, I like dead serious, like a cutscene that you can go in and select from the director and rewatch as often as you want to as you learn more about the universe, so that like you have the context for things to make even more sense. But at the same time, that if they do add this, and it's something that I like seriously think that they need, I think that it needs to be very contextual. I think it needs to resonate with people who have never played a day of Destiny in their lives, because especially now that Forsaken's campaign is gone, like there is virtually no evidence that Cade ever existed, which is crazy because he's like one of the best characters in the franchise.
Well, one thing that, and I know it was Ensemble Studios, whoever made the first Halo Wars, they had like a theater section in the menu where like you could just watch the cutscenes in a row if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And like just something, I know that Destiny has a lot more content than Halo Wars 1, but you know, something like that I feel like would be a really good move on their part.
I mean, it's funny to think about where we've come from, right? Like you and I as D1 vets, like you mentioned it a minute ago, but coming from Destiny 1, where like we did have to go and like look for all of the expanded universe stuff, whereas in D2 like you can go read Grimoire books, weapons and armor and ships and sparrows, everything has lore tabs now. So much of that is self-contained in the game. But I do think that as great as it is organized right now, I do think that there's a little bit more that can be done that would make it enticing for new players to sit down and absorb a lot of the world. To have a really good like springing off point, rather than having to point to like a 4-hour long "My Name Is Bife" video.
Hey, I love that video though.
Of course, absolutely. I've watched it at least once.
I think I've watched it twice and fallen asleep to it like 3 times.
Sure, no, totally. It's great, and what a commitment. I sent it to that friend that I was telling you about that started recently. And she was like, I'll get around to this. And I was like, listen, like, it's not meant to be watched all at once. You watch it until like you feel like you're done with it.
Yeah,
and come back to it later.
I did the same thing with Blank. I tried to get her to watch that, and she was just like, "This is gonna take me like a couple weeks, probably." I was like, "Okay, no worries."
Well, yeah, enjoy it.
It's really good though, and like Bife does a really good job. His narration, and then like he's got 2 really long ones now. The way that he breaks them up is very well done. I feel like it's a little bit easier to kind of consume as someone who's not as well versed on the lore as someone like you and I are. Yeah,
absolutely. I think that he does a great job of even if he's not utilizing like the YouTube chapters feature, like I think just like his cadence and his narration and everything really does a good job of being like, you know, this is a beginning and end point for this. And here's the next section, and then here's the next thing. The video does a really good job of inherently telling you that without necessarily needing like the YouTube chapters.
Yeah.
Although it would be nice if he went through and broke down that 4 hours.
I'll send him a strongly worded email.
Right. At my name is Bife on Twitter. Like, please chapter.
You can't do that retroactively, right?
No, you 100% can. You just type whatever random thing you want into the description box and you put a timestamp next to it, and it's a chapter. It just inherently works, which is awesome.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway, I feel like like, number one, it feels great that we went off on a tangent the way we did. But
Yeah.
Justin, outside of like how you and I met and how long you've been playing the game, what typically, when you sit down to play Destiny, what's the thing that you sit down to play?
So I'm usually like, I go back and forth in terms of PvE or PvP. I want to say that I'm 50-50, but I normally start off, like when I load up Destiny, like I normally start off with a couple Rumble games. It's the first thing that I load into. I definitely gravitate more towards PvP, but I feel like part of that is because I came from Halo, and like the Halo campaigns definitely have a lot of replayability. Like I've played through them, hundreds of times, it feels like. But the thing that always kept me playing Halo was, the PvP. So it just kind of feels natural for me to just grind out Crucible. It just feels like I'm just doing what I've always done.
Of course, I totally get that. So that's a bit of a leading question because obviously I know what the answer is, right?
Yeah.
Because Justin, I know that you're modest, like I am, sometimes to a fault. Because like you're solid. You've always been very good at Destiny, and you're good enough that at the very least 1,700 other people agree with you when you post your clips on TikTok.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty much like, so there is one other video that's attached to the hashtag, but I pretty much own the Paragon Griefs hashtag.
I love that. That's awesome. It's cool. It's cool that you've like found your little niche on. That sounded super condescending, like way more than I meant to do.
I know.
But it's cool that you found your niche on a platform like that, man. So for those who don't know, Justin, what is your TikTok handle if they want to go check out your Crucible, like basically your Titan skating clips, your shoulder charge rampages?
It is just at luminous_havoc.
Okay, cool. Havoc is spelled HAVOC, for those like me who have a hard time remembering if it's OK, OCK, OC, HAVOC. Definitely go check them out. I think Justin's clips are fantastic. So
they're okay.
For me, I've kind of gone back and forth, right? Like a big part of the reason why I wanted to launch this is because my streams here lately have been less and less frequent because as like incredibly excited as I am about Halo Infinite coming out in December. So in just, less than 2 months.
Yeah.
The idea of grinding a PvP game all day long isn't appealing to me anymore. And like, it's totally Nick's fault. Like that I fell in love with Destiny the way that I did.
Yeah.
Of course he wasn't there for it. But it's totally his fault that like the thing that I look forward to in games is like grinding end game content, like raids and nightfalls and things like that. Even though I've been playing Destiny relatively casually for the last several months and haven't actually done a Grandmaster Nightfall yet.
I just did my first one this season the other day.
That's awesome.
It was a nightmare.
I want to do them. I want to do them constantly. I want to get my
you have the weapons,
my titles,
the weapons for it and stuff.
Oh yeah, I just haven't played enough to get my power level at a place where I'm even allowed in yet.
Yeah. Well, but that's the seasonal model thing.
Yeah, right. But like I've thoroughly enjoyed Crucible, and I do enjoy Crucible. Like I want to start playing Trials again. I haven't even done the solo queue stuff yet. I would love to get back into doing Trials every weekend. I miss it a lot. But like in Destiny 1, the thing that I started doing towards the end, if you guys weren't on, is I would hop into an LFG and help a group with raids.
A raid, yeah.
Occasionally Sherpa like a completely newbie group through, Wrath or Vogue or Kingsfall or Crota's End.
Almost like shadow sherping. You're just there, And
Right.
like, as everything continues to go well, you don't say anything.
Well, and the funny thing is more often than not, like I said, I like to say that I would Sherpa people, and I would occasionally, but more often than not, I would jump in and the group would be relatively new to the raid and be like, well, what's the best way to do this again? And I'd be like, well, this is how my group always does it.
Yeah.
And we've run this raid in a fraction of the amount of time that we've been in here, so let's try that. And I do miss that. I miss doing the Sherpa content, and I miss helping people understand the game more and things like that. So that is what I want my content to kind of reflect. Moving forward, like streams and video content are gonna, obviously I'll still continue making Halo stuff, but it's going to be a little bit more Destiny centric than it has been, and even do a little bit more variety stuff. But when I sit down to play a game, the idea of like sitting in Halo for 6 hours at a time, just playing PvP after PvP game, just like drives me insane. Which is why like the Halo Infinite betas were fantastic. The flights were fantastic, but I'd get bored after 2 hours and like, okay, cool, time for me to go play something else. I'll go play Dragon Quest, or I'll go play Destiny or whatever. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. I'm more of a PvE guy. I love Crucible. I love how chaotic Crucible is, coming from a game that's so incredibly well balanced like Halo.
Yeah.
To jump into Destiny and like have you running at me with your Peregrine Greaves,
or like have,
and I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Get frozen by one grenade. And
oh yeah,
shattered.
dude, it's great. Or like my teammate gets headshot by the Vulpix or whatever, and then they're an ice crystal next to me, and I get frozen because I was too close. Like, I love it. Destiny's so cool and does so many amazing things, and its community, Justin, its community is incredibly inspiring in a lot of ways, where like the Halo community is kind of a toss-up. I think the best place to be if you're a fan of Halo is to like put your cards in with the Sacred Icon community. They're awesome. They're incredibly welcoming. They're incredibly friendly. They have zero patience for any toxicity. Conversations and heated conversations are always going to happen, but like anything from as little as like name calling to like threats or anything, like, it's not tolerated over there.
There's a difference between a discussion and an argument, or like there's a difference
100%
between like a difference in opinion and someone just being unnecessarily mean,
like
and
trolling
or toxic.
even.
Yeah, I mean, I deal with that on TikTok a good bit. Like, I have a lot of people tell me that I'm really bad, and that the Titans are the Titan is easy mode, and I'm just like,
no, Hunter's easy mode. Totally kidding. Of course, like whatever class you play, as long as you're playing Destiny and you're having a good time and you're being nice, like that's awesome.
Every class has their positives and negatives. Do you know what I mean?
100%. I totally agree with that.
And when people bring that conversation up, they're like, oh, like shoulder charge Titan, or like bottom tree striker, or like, oh, like Hunter, and I feel like people forget about top tree Dawnblade. I'm just like, oh.
I do not. I love top tree Dawnblade. Although I will say, ever since I've been using my Slova Bomb build
Crucible
a lot, even in Crucible. I've been using my Nothing Manacles a lot. I've been really digging them. I know that they're not like 100% working as intended.
No,
but like
when
as they
do
exist,
work, it's very satisfying.
It's super satisfying. Like I played some Crucible last night in the Glory playlist and got multiple kills because my little scatter grenades would track around a corner for me. Like, it was awesome.
No, thank you. That's not scary.
But the point is like the reason you and I decided to sit down and do this is to help the Destiny community be an even more welcoming place, to give people who are maybe afraid to jump into LFG or to get with more experienced players in fear of like either being called a squeaker or like being called out for this or hearing terminology that they don't want to hear, whether it be literally anything.
Yeah.
Our goal is to try to be a place of positivity in the Destiny community. Maybe even to a gross level, right? Maybe where we're too positive, but I think it's better to be an extremely engaging, positive community, and level healthy criticisms at the game rather than just be like shitheads to each other.
Yeah.
I think that's way more conducive to like a positive environment.
Takes zero effort not to be a dick.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you completely. I that's, I feel like I'm droning on a bit about it, but like that's why we're doing this,
No,
right?
but it's a big deal. Like, I don't know. I feel like, as far as I know, and maybe I'm missing something, but I don't know of any like real Destiny communities that are as positive as Sacred Icon is, and kind of like push for that kind of interaction. And I feel like the community, like, there's a lot of good things about the community, but there's also a decent amount of toxicity, and so I feel like a place like that could do a lot of good for the Destiny community as a whole.
100%. I could not have said that any better. I think that our mission going forward is going to be to encourage people to reach out to me and Justin, and see about, telling us about like who your favorite content creator is right now. Like telling us like what you're wanting to do in the world of Destiny that you haven't been able to do yet, or haven't been able to do in a while. Maybe because your clan fell apart, or because like your best friend stopped playing, but you still really want to play. Like we're trying to give people a platform and a voice in a community that can feel bigger than it is. And do so in a way that feels natural. Do so in a way that doesn't feel like hyper forced. Justin and I will always have very transparent conversations about everything. And like my goal anyway is to be as available as I can to anyone who enjoys the show, and be open to ideas and feedback and all of it. So if you're listening to Pyramid Scheme right now, and you've enjoyed what you liked, make sure that you do subscribe to it on whatever platform you are listening to it on. Our goal is to have this on as many platforms as possible. We are on Twitter at Pyramid Scheme D2. You can always talk to us. I run the Twitter account, but Justin is basically only a text or a DM away. And of course, I'm not going to offer his inbox up to everyone if he doesn't want to. But I do think that if anyone were to ever have something that they would like to share with Justin, you can 100% share it with me, and it will get to him.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't really know where I would have it sent to, but when I figured that out, I'm more than happy to receive DMs and stuff like that. I try to be really interactive with my TikTok community, so there's no reason that I wouldn't do the same thing over here.
I mean, absolutely. And like, please, if you enjoy this at all, go follow Justin on TikTok, like at luminous_havoc on TikTok. Go watch his stuff. Go interact with him there. Justin's awesome. I think you guys would love some of his videos. I definitely do. You can always find me on Twitter at Pfhorbear, on YouTube at youtube.com/Pfhorbear. I stream on YouTube. I post videos occasionally. I haven't really done that in a little while. But our goal is to do this every week. We haven't exactly figured out what days of the week we're going to be posting it on yet. I think sometime around the weekend so that we can comment on whatever TWAB activity there is. I was going to
say probably like Friday or Saturday so that we can, kind of read and absorb whatever Bungie has to say about the game that week.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be talking about everything. We'll be touching on as many topics as related to Destiny as possible. I already have some really cool episodes for our first real episode. I think that this is going to be a fun project for us, Justin.
Yeah,
and I think that
like it's going to be a good time.
I think that anyone who's watching is probably thinking, God, that Austin guy talks so fucking much.
No, but as I get more comfortable, I'll definitely speak more. You know that.
Of course, man. Of course. I think the best thing to do at this point, we're about 35 minutes in, is to open the floor up to you, Justin.
So scary.
Real quick, I'm going to pull up my Bungie name.
Okay.
Because the plan is to have a topic on the show each week, or a segment rather, each week, where we do what we're calling Looking for Friend, so LFF, where viewers and listeners can submit their Bungie friend name, since crossplay is a thing now and anyone can play with anybody. so that more people can add them and look for somebody else to play with that's into the same kind of content that they are.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm going to pull mine up real quick. I don't know if you have yours at the ready, and you don't have to share yours if you don't want to. We can just do mine this week. But my LFF for this week is myself. My Bungie friend name, or my Bungie name. I keep saying friend name, but it's just Bungie name. My Bungie name is Pfhorbear. I know it's spelt funny. It's Pfhorbear hashtag or pound 6110. You can add me. We can play through some in-game content together. We can run strikes together. We can even jump into a few matches of Crucible together. It's totally up to you. But if you're looking for other friends to play Destiny with, there it is. It's Pfhorbear pound 6110 Pfhorbear. And Justin, I will give it over to you.
Yeah, so I mean, mine is just Luminous Space Havoc 9685. Luminous is Luminous and Havoc is HAVOC. So I mean, like I said earlier, I normally am a Crucible person, but we do run 3 Vaulted Glasses a week at the moment. I've got a decent amount of clears in DSC. I've got a decent amount of clears in Garden. So I'm not exclusively a PvP player. Like, I do both. It's just that PvP is kind of where I can go to blow off steam and kind of just mindlessly have a good time. So that's where I tend to gravitate towards. But I mean, I'm not opposed to running raids or strikes or nightfalls or even seasonal content with new people. You know what I mean? A lot of that stuff.
Oh, yeah, some Festival of the Lost too right now.
Oh, dear Lord.
Go get your spectral pages, Justin.
I have not really been doing that.
I spent like an hour in there the other night and didn't realize that I was out of
Space?
manifested pages. So I ran like 4 of them and didn't earn anything for them other than like Jurassic Greens and horror stories. It was great. I loved it. I had a great time. Can't wait to do it again.
I mean, hey, you could have gotten a good roll. Who knows?
I did get a couple of good rolls, but I think what we're gonna do is kind of have a wrap up on maybe our next episode of Season of the Lost, or not Season of the Lost, rather, because we still have like 4 months left of that. The Festival of the Lost. Kind of touch on what we thought about it and what we think could be better, what we thought was better than what it has been in years past. But, yeah, guys, add us if you want to. We might be a little slow to add people back at first until, you know, we can kind of check and see how things are going, see how see what the reception is to the first couple of episodes of the podcast. But like, feel free to shoot us messages, invites, all of that fun stuff.
Questions. I mean, if you want to ask about like a certain build or something that you're using, like, I'll certainly be more than happy to give you my input on whether I think it's good or if I think it could be improved, or, you know, what I would do differently or not differently. You know, don't be shy.
No, absolutely. I think if you are looking to be half as good as Justin is at shoulder charging,
okay,
you should definitely reach out to Luminous Havoc anywhere that you can. Justin, I think that this was a solid little first episode, or episode 0.
Yeah.
It was awesome to sit down and get to talk to you again, buddy. I'm sure that we'll probably play some Destiny, if not tonight, then very soon.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for hanging out, listening. I hope you enjoyed it. I mean, like I said earlier, make sure that you're subscribed on every platform that you possibly can, whether it be Spotify or iTunes or whatever. We are using a platform that is going to allow us to post to just about every major podcast service. So wherever you find us, even if it's on YouTube or whatever, make sure you follow us. Make sure you check us out. Follow us on Twitter at Pyramid Scheme D2. You can find me on Twitter at Pfhorbear, on YouTube at youtube.com/Pfhorbear. I stream and make videos, all that fun stuff. Go follow Justin on TikTok at Luminous_Havoc. Please, I promise it'll be a good time.
Thank you, man.
Thank you guys so much for listening. We will catch you guys in episode 1, probably next week. Justin, I will let you send us off.
Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm really excited about this. I think we're going to have a lot of interesting things to say and talk about when it comes to the world of Destiny. Not just in terms of like lore, but just in terms of like he said, news and, you know, current events and how the game is shaping up. in terms of the actual game world itself. And I'm also just really excited to give a place where like people can feel comfortable and have people to play with, because Destiny is really fun no matter what, but it's definitely better when enjoyed with friends.
I agree completely. 100%. Destiny fucking rules. I love you guys. I will catch you guys in the next one. That's probably been long enough, huh?
Probably.